we decide whether a function is one-to-one, and if it is, find the inverse. The one-to-one function, each x value corresponds to only one y value, and each y value corresponds to only one x value. So this example here to the right would be a one-to-one function, whereas the second one to the left, the domain from 1 map to 6, that's good. Here we have the domain from number 2 map to 7, but also 3 map to 7. So this violates the definition of one-to-one function. So that's not one-to-one. Just by looking at this graph, we can see which one is one-to-one and which one is not. Inverse function. The inverse of a one-to-one function f is written as, it looks like f to the power of -1, but it's not. This is just a symbol we use for inverse function. It's a set of all order pair of the form yx, where x, y belongs to f. Since the inverse is formed by interchanging x and y, the domain of f becomes the range of the inverse function, and the range of f becomes the domain of the inverse function. Decide whether each function is one-to-one. If it is, find the inverse. Well, let's take a look. Here I have 2 map to 5 from the domain to range, 3 is mapping to 6, 4 is mapping to 8, 8 mapping to 7. Each x value corresponds to only one y values, and each y values correspond to only x values. So the function is one-to-one. So if it is one-to-one, to find the inverse function, that's all I have to do, just switch the position of the domain and range. So the first point would become, instead of 2 and 5, become 5 and 2. Next one would be 6 and 3. That would be 8 and 4. Instead of 8 and 7, we put 7 and 8. Simple as that. So this would be the inverse of f. Decide whether each function is one-to-one function. Well, here we have from the domain 3 is mapped to, from the domain 0 mapped to range 3. And here from the domain -1 is mapped to point 2 in the range. And there it is, 1 mapped to 3 again. So it doesn't look like the inverse, this doesn't look like the one-to-one function. Each x value corresponds to just one y value. However, the y value 3 corresponds to both 1 and 0. The function is not one-to-one. Use the horizontal line test to determine whether a function is one-to-one. A function is one-to-one if every horizontal line intercepts the graph of the function at most one point, or at most once. Use the horizontal line test to determine whether each graph is the graph of a one-to-one function. The graph to the left is not one-to-one because if I draw a horizontal line, it would intercept this graph in more than one point. So that violates the one-to-one function. However, the graph to the right is a one-to-one function because it passes the horizontal test. If I draw a horizontal line, it would intercept this graph only at one point at all times.